If there's one good thing about the selfie world and how close in everybody is, it's that the scales fall from your eyes. We're all just people, and that's
When you see everyone up close, the masks fall away. We all start to look like just people. And when you think about cinema, Meryl Streep is often called the greatest actress of her generation, but she's always approached her craft like the most dedicated student. She's that rare talent who can vanish into any accent, any era, or any soul, transforming so completely that we, as the audience, simply forget we're even watching a performance. When Streep herself reflects on the films that truly sculpted her legendary artistry, she doesn't sound like a legend at all. She sounds like someone still learning, still discovering. For her, acting isn't about becoming someone different. It's about finding the deep similarities in what appears different, and then finding herself within that space. Cinema, for Streep, has never been about chasing stardom or accolades. It has always been about the truth, the kind of truth that lives in the quiet space between words, in the pregnant pause before a decision is made, in that raw moment when a character's carefully constructed mask finally falls away. The performances that completely rewrote her understanding of what acting could truly be, the directors who bravely showed her that vulnerability was in fact an incredible strength, the films that proved true greatness comes not from aiming for perfection, but from embracing absolute honesty. From raw kitchen sink dramas to grand operatic epics, from intimate character studies to sweeping historical canvases, Streep's 6 favorite films reveal far more than mere technique. They reveal an entire philosophy of life and art. So get ready, because here comes Meryl Streep, naming her 6 favorite movies, the very films that taught her how to find truth in the beautiful act of pretending. At number 6 we have Persona, from 1966. Ingmar Bergman crafted a psychological puzzle about an actress who suddenly stops speaking, and the nurse who's assigned to care for her. For Streep, watching Bibi Andersson and Liv Ullmann subtly blur the boundaries between self and other was a revelation. It was the first time she truly understood that silence could be infinitely more powerful than any monologue, a profound insight that acting wasn't just about what you said, but often what you bravely chose to withhold. The film's story itself completely defied conventional narrative. Elizabeth, a celebrated stage actress, falls mute mid-performance and retreats to a quiet seaside cottage with Alma, a talkative nurse who gradually unravels as her patient remains steadfastly silent. But Bergman's true genius wasn't in the plot. It was in the unsettling mirror he held up to the very act of performance itself. The film dared to ask, where does the actor end and the character truly begin? Streep first discovered this during her early training at Yale, while she was learning that the most profound acting often happens in the subtle, unspoken spaces between the lines. Here was undeniable proof that cinema could be as intricately complex as any literary text, that faces alone could convey entire novels without ever uttering a single word. The film's famous shot, where Ullmann and Anderson's faces eerily merge, became Streep's personal meditation on the power of empathy. You can still see Persona's influence in nearly every Streep performance where she listens more intently than she speaks, the way she effortlessly absorbs other characters' energy in The Hours, and how she becomes a profound vessel for other stories in The Iron Lady. Bergman taught her that an actor's greatest tool isn't their voice, but their incredible capacity to receive. Persona showed me that acting is less about expression and far more about impression, about becoming a crystal-clear mirror that reflects raw truth back to the world. Coming in at number 5, Umberto D. from 1952. Vittorio De Sica made a poignant film about an elderly pensioner facing eviction, a story that contained no grand plot, but instead the entire vastness of life itself. For Streep, watching Carlo Battisti's retired professor struggle to maintain his dignity while his world systematically stripped it away was a profound revelation about how acting could find the universal in the utterly specific. It was an understanding that the smallest, most unassuming gestures could carry the crushing weight of entire civilizations. The film's story was almost cruelly simple. An old man can't pay his rent. His landlady wants him gone. He even considers suicide, but simply cannot abandon his small, faithful dog. But Dielman's genius was in the relentless accumulation of tiny, everyday humiliations, the way rigid social systems could mercilessly grind down the human spirit through sheer bureaucratic indifference. Every single frame was an act of quiet witness to invisible suffering. Streep discovered her power when she was learning that the most powerful performances often came from characters society too often overlooked. Here was a film that found epic drama in the simple act of a pension check, that made an elderly man's dignity feel as important and profound as any king's crown. The deeply moving relationship between Umberto and his loyal dog became her meditation on unconditional love. You can see Umberto D's influence in every Streep performance where she authentically inhabits society's margins, the way she finds incredible nobility in ordinary struggle in doubt, and how she makes invisible women strikingly visible in The Iron Lady. Dielman taught her that cinema's greatest responsibility was bearing witness to those the world too often preferred to ignore. Umberto D showed me that acting is ultimately about empathy, about lending your powerful voice to those who have been silenced by circumstance or by time. At number 4, Jeanne Dielman. 23 Quai du Commerce, 1080 Bruxelles. From 1975. Chantal Akerman made a 3-hour film about a widow's daily routine that felt like watching time itself unfold. For Streep, observing Delphine Seyrig perform the most mundane tasks with obsessive, almost ritualistic precision until tiny, almost imperceptible cracks slowly began to show, was a masterclass in how the ordinary could become utterly extraordinary through an absolute, unwavering commitment to detail. The story was deliberately anti-dramatic. A Brussels housewife follows the exact same schedule every single day: cooking, cleaning, brief, transactional encounters with male clients to supplement her meager income. But Akerman's genius was in the meticulous accumulation, the powerful way repetition slowly revealed character, how even the smallest variations in routine subtly suggested entire inner worlds shifting beneath the surface. Streep discovered its profound impact during a period when she was questioning what truly constituted worthy subject matter for serious, impactful acting. Here was a film that found infinite complexity in a woman simply making dinner, which powerfully suggested that domestic life was just as rich with dramatic potential as any battlefield or boardroom. The film's famously long takes forced viewers to actively observe rather than simply consume, to see performance as genuine behavior rather than mere exhibition. You can see Jeanne Dielman in Streep's fearless commitment to unglamorous truth, the way she finds incredible dignity in ordinary women in Silkwood, and how she inhabits domestic spaces with complete and utter authenticity in Kramer vs. Kramer. Akerman taught her that the most radical thing an actress could do was make the invisible visible, to give profound weight to experiences that cinema typically overlooks. Jeanne Dielman showed me that every single gesture contains a universe, that the most profound dramas truly happen in kitchens and bedrooms, not just on grand stages. The film powerfully proved that watching someone live truthfully for 3 hours was infinitely more engaging than watching someone perform heroically for 90 minutes. Coming in at number 3, The Rules of the Game, from 1939. Jean Renoir made a masterful comedy of manners that cut like a surgical blade through the very heart of French society. For Streep, watching the aristocrats and their servants subtly dance around each other during a weekend hunting party, all while their carefully constructed world crumbled ominously beneath them, was a profound revelation about how ensemble acting could create a stunning symphony of human behavior. The story seemed, on the surface, like an elegant farce. A wealthy aviator, his mistress, his wife, and their various servants gather at a grand country estate for a hunting weekend that quickly devolves into a chaotic battlefield of romantic intrigue. But Renoir's true genius was in the democracy of his camera, the powerful way he refused to privilege any single character's perspective over another's. Every single person in the frame had an equal, undeniable claim to humanity. Streep studied it obsessively during her training, learning how individual performances could seamlessly serve a larger orchestration without ever sacrificing their unique specificity. Here was undeniable proof that acting could be both deeply personal and inherently collaborative, that the best ensemble work elevated everyone, rather than simply showcasing individual stars. The film's fluid, graceful camera movements became her personal template for generosity in performance. You can see the rules of the game in every Streep performance, where she selflessly serves the story rather than dominating it, the way she anchors complex ensemble pieces like The Hours without ever overwhelming her co-stars, how she expertly finds her character's precise place within the larger social fabric in films like The Post. Renoir taught her that truly great acting creates generous space for others to be great too. The rules of the game showed me that cinema, at its absolute best, is a deeply collective art form, that the most powerful performances lift everyone around them, because real greatness isn't about stealing scenes, it's about giving them away. At number 2, Tokyo Story from 1953. Yosujiro Ozu made a timeless film about time itself, a narrative that moved with the slow, deliberate pace of life. For Streep, watching elderly parents visit their grown children in Tokyo, only to heartbreakingly discover they have become distant strangers, was the most devastating education in how much can be powerfully communicated through what isn't said. It was a profound understanding that the deepest, most complex emotions truly live in the quiet silences between words. The story was heartbreakingly simple. An aging couple travels from their rural village to see their seemingly successful children in the bustling city, but finds themselves inconvenient guests in lives too busy and self-absorbed to accommodate their love. But Ozu's true genius was in his exquisite restraint, the powerful way he filmed ordinary conversations with the crushing weight of entire lifetimes pressing down on every exchange. Streep encountered it when she was beginning to understand her own complex relationship with aging, both as a person and as an actress in an industry so often obsessed with youth. Here was a director who found profound beauty in elderly faces, who truly understood that the most complex performances often come from characters who have lived long enough to accept disappointment without bitterness. You can see Tokyo Story in Streep's later performance, where she courageously embraces rather than disguises her age, the quiet devastation in The Hours, the accumulated wisdom in The Post, the way she gracefully allows time to show on her face rather than fighting it. Ozu taught her that acting wasn't about desperately preserving youth, but about honoring the full, rich spectrum of human experience. The film's famous low camera angles, often shot from the perspective of someone sitting on a tatami mat, profoundly influenced her understanding of how point of view shapes performance. She learned to act not just for the camera, but for the specific way the camera was seeing. And finally, at number 1, Bicycle Thieves from 1948. Vittorio De Sica made a groundbreaking film about a man desperately searching for his stolen bicycle that became, for Streep, the most honest and raw portrayal of human dignity under immense pressure ever captured on celluloid. For Streep, watching Lamberto Maggiorani's Antonio drag his young son through Rome's bustling streets on an increasingly desperate pursuit of their very livelihood was the pivotal moment she utterly understood that great acting wasn't about technique or flashy skills. It was simply about truth. This, she says, is the film that taught her everything she knows about being real on camera. The story was surrealism distilled to its purest essence. A poor man desperately needs his bicycle for work. It gets stolen, and he and his young son spend a grueling day searching, their hope and dignity slowly eroding with each crushing dead end. But De Sica's true genius was in casting non-professional actors who weren't merely performing poverty, but living it. They brought an authentic, lived-in quality that no amount of training or technique could ever manufacture. Streep discovered its profound impact during her foundational years, and she returned to it throughout her illustrious career whenever she needed to remember why she became an actress in the first place. Here was undeniable proof that cinema's greatest power lay not in escapism but in recognition, in holding up a clear mirror to ordinary people and finding the extraordinary within them. The deeply moving relationship between Antonio and his son became her universal template for every parent-child dynamic she would ever play. You can see Bicycle Thieves in every Streep performance, where she strips away all artifice to find essential humanity, the working-class dignity in Silkwood, the fierce maternal protection in Kramer versus Kramer, the powerful way she finds universal emotions in the most specific circumstances. Desika taught her that the camera could truly see through pretense to the human heart beneath. So there you have it. 6 films that didn't just teach Meryl Streep how to act. They taught her how to truly be human on camera, not the obvious choices perhaps, but the essential ones. The films that proved authenticity triumphs over technique, that truth is the only currency that truly matters in art. What films taught you about being real?